do we get our students to play chromatic passages quickly? Chromatic passages tend to look pretty awful with a lot of students. And that's because they play on the flat parts of their fingers, and they look like a beak, a bird's beak in between fingers 1 and 2. So the student is never going to get a fast motion. So we must remind them to play on the outside tip of their thumbnail, form the perfect C, letter C, between fingers 1 and 2, and find those 4 little hills, which are the 4 knuckles on the top of the hand. So taking a look at the left hand, it's always a good idea to extract a chromatic passage into smaller little units. And that way the students can focus on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes or less. And that is the best way to chunk these patterns into 7 notes or less. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you'll notice when I'm playing this, I'm letting my wrist be flexible, going towards the wood of the piano as the student plays the black keys, and then they push off the keys on the very last one. Now let's make a game of it. Let's go ahead and have the students practice at 72. Nice and slowly so that they can really focus on their motion. You notice that the elbow is alongside my body, but it's a free arm. So the elbow isn't tightly by my body, and the elbow is certainly not out. So I have the students do 8 repetitions of this. And then they can go up to metronome of 96, which is an andante tempo. And you notice I'm also having the students prepare the thumb for the very next key so it doesn't ever make a slip. All right, so you have the student do that 8 times in a row. And of course, yes, they can definitely play the next part of that little pattern with a push off at the end. So now, once they've played that 16 times in a row at that slow thinking tempo, they're ready to play it more up to tempo. Here's moderato tempo at a dotted quarter note is equal to 3 notes. Yes, a dotted quarter note is equal to 3/8 notes is equal to 1 click on the metronome. And then ascending. Good. And then they would go ahead and do it at 92. But for right now, I'm going to pretend that we did all those stages with the right hand, and now I'll just play the right hand at a dotted quarter note is equal to 92. All right, so it takes a lot of coordination and fluidity between the entire parts of the playing apparatus. Lots of things that the student needs to think about. So that's why it's imperative that the student repeats at a slow thinking tempo first, and then they can play it up to tempo and it will be sounding really good. Okay, so the technique tip on page 52 is transfer the weight of your arm to the right when ascending and to the left descending. So you could have the student just shift their weight a little bit more towards you, the audience, ascending, and then shifting their weight a little bit more towards this wall over here. And they'll be able to go quite quickly then. And they can imagine a string pulling their elbow. I'm not so sure about the elbow. I think they should actually imagine a string pulling their forearm to the right and to the left, because otherwise the elbow is going to go like this. So you could scratch that out of the book and say, have the string pulling the forearm to the right and to the left. Okay, we're going to create some students who play really well when you follow the technique exercises in succeeding at the piano.